wants to come over? My mom has a pool. We can swim in it together.
Hello, fellow netizens, and welcome to Scandalous Games, the show where we take a closer look at video game-related controversies. I'm Kevin Impellizeri, and I do the research and share a story of a video game-related controversy to my friends.
I'm Andy Hunter, a longtime fan of all things Nintendo.
I'm Kate. I've been writing software for over 10 years, but not the fun kind.
All right, we are back here to talk more about Uwe Boll and his Postal movie. So last time, our last two episodes, we went into a little bit of detail about Uwe Boll's adaptation of Postal from 2007 and Uwe's response to how people took his Postal movie, and he did not take it super great. And we also talked about how Uwe Boll attributed the failure of his adaptation of Postal 2 to political correctness. He thought that cinema companies like Regal and AMC were a little bit gun-shy about the content, and how he attributed it to them being afraid of, his bold vision and his takedown of George W. Bush's America. Although I offered some other interpretations about what might have actually played a role in the failure of Postal. For example, Uwe's feuds with his distribution companies that might undermine the ability for him to put his movies out to theaters. And also just the fact that at that point, a lot of his earlier attempts at video game adaptations had not done very well for theaters, and they might have been less inclined to actually work with him because he had become, to be honest, box office poison at that point. But it's got to be the political correctness. He's a bold truth teller. So with these next two episodes, what we're going to do is we're going to pivot from the movie that he made to the Postal sequel he really wanted to make. Because after Postal came out, Uwe was determined to make a sequel to this movie and attempted to try to make a Postal sequel, a Postal 2 movie, at least twice. And so what we're going to talk about is the entertaining escapades of Uwe Boll to try to get his sequel to life. So I'll offer a little bit of history and a little bit of context to that, and hopefully this will be a bit of a fun story to go through. All right, so again, we've established a bunch of context about Uwe Boll's Postal movie and Uwe Boll as a filmmaker in the early to mid-2000s when he makes this movie. Over the next several years, following Postal's release, Boll, in defiance of critics, theaters, and audiences, continued to make movies. Since 2008, he made several more video game adaptations, including Far Cry and straight-to-video sequels to Blood Rain and In the Name of the King. He also pivoted towards original films, delving into more serious topics, putting out films based on the Vietnam War. In the film 1968 Tunnel Rats, he tried a movie on the Holocaust, simply called Auschwitz, and a movie about the genocide in Darfur called Attack on Darfur. He also worked on several films that you could argue were spiritual successors to Postal, channeling his white male rage into Attack on Wall Street and his Rampage trilogy, each involving bitter everymen who turn to violence in response to various personal and societal injustices. So he's kind of like gone to the well of, if not a direct Postal sequel, movies that you can see in kind of a similar vein of Postal. You could see the Postal dude going in a grittier angle for these.
If not outrage-worthy, then why persecution-shaped?
Yeah. However, as the years went on, the production money keeping his projects going just wasn't flowing the way it used to. As we covered in our previous episode on Uwe Boll, Boll relied heavily on generous tax programs enacted by the German government to finance his film dreams. During the 2000s, German law included incentives for citizens who invested in film projects, promising them their financial contributions to German cinema were 100% tax deductible and only requiring them to pay taxes if the movie turned a profit. So one thing I didn't really do a good job of when we did Uwe Boll initially was the question of how he got his movies funded. What was the incentive behind people giving him money? This was it. So basically, I work in nonprofits, and a lot of the incentive for people and corporations to invest in nonprofits is that they lower your overall tax burden. You donate a certain amount of money, now you can deduct that amount of money from your overall income, and you might get into a lower tax bracket. That's a lot of the incentive for patronizing things like the arts, museums, libraries, things like that. Like nonprofit organizations, public-facing organizations, things like that. And there was a little bit of that going on in German tax code when it came to film projects. German investors who invested directly in German cinema were able to lower their tax burden based on that. And basically, they lower their tax burden, and the only time they have to pay any money towards their investments is if it makes a profit. So they're paying on the returns. This created the producers-esque situation.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of right away.
It's basically the German government made the producers. And so Uwe Boll was basically Zero Mostel and
Gene Wilder.
And Gene Wilder in the producers. The whole thing at the beginning, we were like, Gene Wilder's going through his books. It's like you inadvertently turn a profit on a flop. Uwe Boll made that into a career, this whole thing. So yeah, this whole German tax incentive thing created a producers-esque situation where wealthy Germans could see their tax burden substantially decrease if they invested in a flop, and they could even borrow money for investments and gain additional tax benefits on those investments to cut down the amount they had to pay back to Berlin. And so here's how Stuart Wood of the site Cinema Blend explained Boll's fundraising scheme in an article published back in 2005. Quote, "The bizarre tax laws in Germany mean that any wealthy Germans who invest in a movie can write off the production costs, delay paying their taxes, and generally reduce their tax burden. When you disseminate all the boring legal business laws surrounding it, the bottom line is this. The German investors in a movie only pay tax on any returns the movie makes. Their investment is 100% deductible, so the minute the movie turns a profit, said investor has to start paying tax. Plus, the investors can actually borrow money to put towards investment and write that off too. Assuming you're a sharp enough businessman, you have a potential gold mine in the making, a way to make money from investing in bad films," end quote. So when people ask a bit about like how Uwe's movies move forward, this is how they did it. Boll once joked to Darren King of Vanity Fair in 2017 that his backers were, quote, "mostly dentists who don't watch the films," end quote.
Because let me get this straight. If it does well, then they participate in a profit, right?
Yes, and then they have to pay taxes on the investment because they've turned a profit on it.
Right. So I guess if it blows up, they might want to sit up and pay attention. But unless it makes, unless it does that, then like, whatever.
There's basically no downside if it fails.
Right.
Because basically it means their tax burden lowers overall by investing in it. And so like they could throw money to Uwe and have Uwe do what he does, and then they could have basically their tax burden lowered because of Uwe's, efforts.
Yeah, it's win-win either way.
Yeah. And so in essence, it sounds like many of Boll's investors viewed his projects less as patronizing the arts and more as a scheme to keep a bunch of their money away from the government. However, by the end of the decade, by the end of the 2000s, those tax incentives had gone away. So the German government got rid of those, and this forced Boll to find other ways to keep his projects running. For example, in 2006, with the end of his dentist-driven tax haven, Boll announced he was planning on taking his production company, which is called Boll KG, public, with the hopes of using the IPO to help fund future projects. And in 2013, a potential new and exciting avenue for film funding presented itself to Boll, and it was all thanks to Veronica Mars. Are you all familiar with Veronica Mars?
Yeah.
What do you know about it?
It's a TV show that starred Kristen Bell. I believe it was something of a detective procedural. Had something of a cult following as well.
Yeah, that's about what I know. People seem to say that it has a similar kind of mix of drama and quirky comedy as like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I know it has come back as, I think, both a movie and a limited series in recent years.
Yeah, so yeah, Veronica Mars is a teen detective drama starring Kristen Bell as the titular Veronica Mars, a young student who moonlights as a private detective. It premiered on UPN. Remember UPN?
That's where I watched Deep Space Nine when I was a child.
Oh, fun. It first premiered on UPN on September the 22nd, 2004. It ran for 64 episodes across 3 seasons, and the show attracted critical praise and a cult following. However, poor ratings doomed the series, and its last episode aired on May the 22nd, 2007, prompting years of campaigns from the show's fans, known as Cloud Watchers, who tried to get the series revived or adapted into a movie. In 2013, show creator Rob Thomas reached out to Yancey Strickler, who was the co-founder and CEO of Kickstarter, and the two coordinated to launch a crowdsourcing campaign on the platform to finance a Veronica Mars movie. On March the 13th, 2013, they launched the Veronica Mars Movie Project, asking for $2 million from fans to cover production on a feature film. The campaign shattered all expectations, meeting its initial goal within 11 hours and eventually raising $5,702,153 on 87,143 backers, which at the time were the highest totals in Kickstarter's history. This is a
Wow.
massive success.
Was this before or after the Ouya? I'm just curious.
This is before the Ouya.
Okay.
The Ouya eventually shattered. The Ouya, if I recall, was $6.8 million.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was like it
Uh,
probably placed around there. Yeah.
we may cover the Ouya in a future episode. That's going to be a fun story.
Hey there, fellow netizens. This is Kevin in the editor's chair with a brief correction to this part. The Ouya Kickstarter project was after the Veronica Mars movie project, but not really by that much. So the Veronica Mars movie project launched on March the 13th, 2013, and as I mentioned, it raised $5,702,153 on 87,143 backers. The Ouya project, which was a independent Android-based game system, launched on July the 10th, 2012, so not that long after it, and it surpassed the record that the Veronica Mars movie project has by a large margin, earning $8,596,474 on 63,416 backers. So apologies for the error there in messing up the numbers there, and back to the show.
So yeah, massive success this Kickstarter. $5.7 million it raises, and it met its goal in 11 hours.
And as you and I have also learned, because we know some folks who have used Kickstarter to successfully fund various business ventures, I think the general guiding principle with Kickstarter is if a project gets more than 50% funded within the first 24 hours, even if it's like 51%, then that is a good indicator that it will get fully funded.
Yeah.
Now we've also seen projects from friends that have not quite gotten there, but that also still got fully funded. But yeah, like so the first 24 hours are very important for the Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah, so much is built on hype and so much is built on getting enthusiasm early. Because like if you're getting late in your campaign and you haven't gotten that, there's a chances are you're gonna, yeah, you're right. Like it's those like first 48 hours are really, really important for Kickstarter. And we have a friend
24, not even 48.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. It's the first 24 hours. We have a friend of ours who's kickstarted board games, and that's the key time to get it.
Because that also gets you on like on the front page of the whatever section that you're in on Kickstarter, you know what I mean? Like
So yeah, this was a big deal. This was a big collaboration between Kickstarter and this project. And the Veronica Mars movie project became really influential in terms of crowd-funded and indie filmmaking for movies. And the breakout success of the Veronica Mars movie project quickly attracted the attention of folks in mainstream Hollywood.
oh God.
On April the 23rd, 2013, actor and director Zach Braff launched a Kickstarter campaign to finance his new film project, Wish I Was Here. Like Thomas, Braff asked for $2 million on a 30-day campaign, for which he received $3,105,473 on 46,520 backers. So another of these big early Kickstarter movie campaigns. However, he also did receive some pushback after he secured studio funding too, raising questions over why he needed to ask random folks on the internet for money in the first place.
I remember this. I remember this being an issue where it was like, hey, good for him on Kickstarter, but then he also had studio backing. So it was like, so why were you?
Yeah, the big difference between that and the Veronica Mars project is like no Hollywood executive wanted to take a risk on that, but when they saw the big money that was raised on crowdfunding, then they came around. Whereas Zach Braff already had a bunch of pull in Hollywood and did this, and then he also got, traditional funding too, which some people are like, you could have probably just gone through Hollywood or whatever. Another example of this, on July the 13th of that year, director Spike Lee launched his own campaign for what he cryptically at the time called the newest, hottest Spike Lee joint, successfully raising $1,418,910 for what eventually became his 2014 film, The Sweet Blood of Jesus.
Ooh.
And all of that clearly got Uwe thinking that he could keep his movie dreams alive by reaching out directly to his certainly legions of fans.
Hold up, there's profit to be had.
Uwe sees the dollar signs. It's like, I no longer need the German dentist. I can go directly to the source and just pull it right from the nerds.
Ooh. I can extract this like a root canal.
So Uwe starts looking at Kickstarter. And of all the projects he could have done for his first Kickstarter, Boll turned to Postal as his first one he wanted to crowdsource.
Now, Postal, a sequel, right?
He wanted to make a sequel to Postal, and he wanted it crowdfunded on Kickstarter.
Before we go for Kevin, is Postal at this point in time, when he does the Kickstarter, Is Postal, the original, is that his most financially successful film?
Absolutely not.
Would you say it has the most notoriety at this point after having been out for a number of years?
I have some ideas about why he picked Postal in particular. If we're talking his most financially successful, probably his most financially successful is ironically The House of the Dead. It had around a $12 million budget and it made $13 million. So it made like $1 million more than its budget. Most of his others are just incredible flops. Postal made less than $150,000 on about a $15 million budget. Like Blood Rain made like $5 million on a $24 million budget. Like a bunch of his video game properties are just incredible failures.
Right, but at least with a Blood Rain Kickstarter, he could promise to bring back Ben Kingsley, right?
I suppose you could, yeah.
Ben's on board, and Ben Kingsley's like, no one has approached me. I don't know what he's talking about.
To be fair, like looking at Ben Kingsley's body of work in the later parts of his career, I feel like it wasn't hard to get Ben Kingsley.
Everybody's got to work.
I don't want Ben Kingsley to get mad at me. I'm not going to comment because I have no idea.
Ben Kingsley's got to eat too. I'm not faulting Ben Kingsley. Sir Ben Kingsley.
Yeah.
It's like she vanished through the walls.
Shutter Island.
Better movie. Shutter Island's a better movie.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Better than Blood Rain. That's not saying much. All right, so yeah, Boll decides he wants his first Kickstarter project to be a sequel to Postal, and I thought about this a bit about like why of the veritable rogues gallery that is his filmography did he choose to go back to Postal as opposed to like, you know, an entirely new project or a sequel based on another of his movies. And I want to offer a possible explanation behind his potential return to paradise, why he picked Postal in particular. So I'm going to preface this by saying I am absolutely no psychiatrist. I am in no position to psychoanalyze Uwe Boll. However, reading through interviews and parsing through Boll's commentary on his critics in places like the documentary Raging Bull, which, as an aside, Raging Bull is a fascinating movie. It was put together by one of the people who worked directly with Uwe Boll. It's basically as close as you can get to an Uwe Boll documentary directed by Uwe Boll that isn't directed by Uwe Boll. The premise of Raging Bull is basically the fight, the boxing matches, and it's told from the perspective, if I were to put this to describe this, it's like, imagine a bully who beats up people and makes a documentary or has a documentary he'll follow him around about why he was the right person, why he was in the right to beat up those nerds. That is what Raging Bull is. Raging Bull is about a 90-minute justification for why Uwe Boll beat the shit out of Low Tax.
Delightful.
So you're saying that perhaps the story of an aggrieved white man in Western society who is right to use violence to exercise his frustration might have some appeal to Dr. Uwe Boll.
My God, we've determined a theme of Uwe Boll, haven't we? We may do that as an aside. We might do that as a commentary at one point. I know I pitched that to the group to do Raging Bull. It is a fascinating examination of the mind of this guy.
I feel like that would be challenging. Like from my own perspective, documentaries often include a lot of information transference through talking.
Yeah.
Be a little hard to.
It is a bunch of Uwe Boll whining at a camera, yes. Anyway, so yeah, parsing out Uwe Boll's interviews, his public statements, and watching Raging Bull, I feel that one consistent aspect of Uwe Boll is that despite all of his trolling and his wild outbursts, like his boxing matches, his online rants, go back to our Scandalous Games theater that we did last time about him arguing with Chris Kohler at Wired about, you know, the perfection that was Uwe Boll's Postal, is that Uwe Boll, all he wants is to be liked. He wants approval. For example, back in 2008, Postal lead Zach Ward, the guy who played the Postal dude in the Postal movie, Zach Ward described Uwe to a GQ reporter in a way that has stuck with me. He said of his director, quote, "A big part of Uwe is a little boy that wants to be carried out of the theater on the audience's shoulders. But he's like, if you're not going to love me, I'm going to make you fucking hate me," end quote. So that kind of stuck with me a while, but like, there's a certain level of like, Uwe wants people to give him adulation, to give him praise, to give him approval.
And does it feel sort of like, to a degree, it's like, you're not going to reject me, I'm going to reject you first.
Yeah, I'm not going to let you hurt me, I'm going to hurt you first, basically.
Yeah, or the idea that I want positive attention, but I'll take any attention.
Like any kind of attention, and in fact, if you don't like me, well, that was my own doing, that was on purpose.
Yeah, that's Uwe. And like he tries at some points to get ahead of this stuff to like at one point he made a new version of House of the Dead called the House of the Dead quote unquote funny version where he added an intro and he put do like pop-up video style comments throughout the movie about like pointing out the plot inconsistencies and the issues and like he filmed this whole thing about him being kidnapped by Al Qaeda and Al Qaeda forcing him to watch his movies. So like he's clearly trying to be he's like, see, I get it too.
I'm in
It's
on the joke.
yeah, it's like Tommy Wiseau, the way he rebranded himself after The Room became a punchline. And for a while, Tommy Wiseau's like, "See, I am in on the joke too." Sorry, I'll do a Tommy Wiseau accent. I won't do an Uwe Boll accent. I am in on the joke, chicken. See, I am in on it. Cheep, 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 cheep. Sorry, I apologize for that.
No, that's okay because Tommy Wiseau refuses to reveal where he's from. So no particular nationality can say you were doing a bad version of his accent.
No, he's from Eastern Europe. I insist on that.
He insists he's from New
And
Orleans.
there's nothing wrong with being from Eastern Europe. I'm just saying, I swear to you that.
This is a perfect Cajun accent, chicken.
Yeah, and he made his money on leather jackets.
Yes, he did. Anyway, so in terms of like, Uwe, he's a guy who wants approval. And I found a really interesting article a while back of kind of a representation of this. So I came across an account of an exchange between Uwe Boll and Chris Alexander of the horror magazine Rue Morgue. And Chris Alexander was one of the people who boxed Uwe. He came out with a luchador mask and bat wings when he fought Uwe. And Uwe, like, beat the shit out of him, too. Alexander recalled in an October the 8th, 2006 article for the Toronto Star that a day after the fight, Boll had Alexander come out to his Vancouver home, where the director just straight up asked him why critics don't like his movies. According to Alexander, he shared his feelings on Boll's body of work, calling them, quote, bloated, expensive, and incoherent attempts at escaping American genre pictures, and sport some of the most boneheaded casting choices in filmdom, end quote. However, he also came away with a newfound appreciation for Uwe Boll as a person, writing, quote, I left Vancouver with the impression of him as a delightfully insane, two-fisted rogue, and a shockingly honest one at that. Someone who absolutely adores film, knows its history, and truly lives for what he does. Hell, he even had me pondering my role as a film critic, whether I was someone who casually dismisses others' life's work while wishing it was me making movies. Yes, House of the Dead is still inexcusably dreadful. And sure, Alone in the Dark still sucks harder than a Hoover, but the man behind those subpar movies is a true original. He didn't just pout about bad reviews. He took matters into his hard, punishing hands. And that deserves respect. It's just unfortunate that it took a public display of merciless skull battering to make me see this rather profound truth, end quote. And I think for all of his bluster, Uwe Boll genuinely believes that he is an artist, and he comes off as someone looking for approval for his craft.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I will give props as somebody who, I don't make my living by bashing other people's creative output on the internet. So, I guess I'm not, I'm not necessarily coming from a glass house here, but yeah, it is certainly easier to denigrate somebody else's work than to create something yourself. I feel, however, like there are probably a lot of critics of Uwe Boll's films who haven't tried to just dunk on him, who have probably made just constructive criticism, just, like there's a lot of humor in this movie that will be off-putting to a lot of people, or this story is meandering, or there doesn't seem to be a lot of attention paid to XYZ details or something. That I think there are certainly some filmmakers who would take some of that to heart and not just, I can see, yes, don't pay attention to people who are just dunking on you to get attention themselves. But yes, you can try to learn from actual good faith criticism.
Yeah, you can tell the difference between haters and what you're talking about, Andy, right? Please go on.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like Uwe Boll has really ever tried to take good faith criticism to heart. He's just lumped all critics together as those who are just haters.
It just seems like he takes just a very all or nothing approach. It's like you either love me or you hate me. You're either my best friend or you're my worst enemy. You're either with me or you're totally against me.
Yeah, and I think that, like, if you were creative and you put something out in the world, there was always going to be a chance that someone is going to have some kind of pushback to it. And you need to be prepared for that. So like I've never made a movie. I've never written anything meaningful. But like the only thing I have is this show. But when I came through graduate school, the one thing we were taught was if a person offered you some kind of criticism, aside from like the snarky assholes, the people who are just deliberately trying to dunk on, criticism is a certain level of engaging with your material and trying to improve it. That was the mindset that I was taught. Is like, if people are engaging with your material in that way, they're hoping to improve it. And that you have a certain level of humility that you can take that to heart. And you can decide to take or leave whatever advice they say in terms of what they give you. And like what Kate says, like Uwe lumps everything in any kind of pushback is clear. They're all mean to me. They're all meaties. And they're only here to push me out of the business. And they're not here to give you any kind of good faith criticism. And I think that one thing that Uwe cannot do is like there's a certain level of vulnerability when it comes to any kind of creation that you put out to other people. But he cannot like reflect on that, He thinks that whatever he has is perfect, and that's a problem. You can't do that, Like it's not really you're not going to get anywhere with that,
He has to be 100% personally right, it sounds like. And again, I'm not
Yeah.
trying to diagnose anyone. I'm also not a doctor. But it sounds like he has to be 100% right. Like his movie has to be 100% beloved and perfect and no criticism in any way, even a more mild criticism of like, okay, this was good, except, this small aspect could be improved later on or something. He's either 100% right about everything all the time, or that would break the reality, that would break the chain of it. And
Yeah, it's an aggro never break down. Any concession is weakness kind of thing. You are
it's
giving
classic
into the haters.
narcissistic behavior. Again, I'm
Yeah,
not I'm not diagnosing anybody. I'm really not because I don't know the guy and I'm not a doctor and etc. But like this sort of pattern of all or nothing behavior of I'm perfect and if you point out anything that makes me anything less than perfect, I reject it and you are the problem. Yeah, it's narcissistic injury. Yeah.
and we've seen this already with like the way he responded to Chris Kohler of Wired, for example. There's not a second that is wrong in Postal, and like you are so mean, you need to look at my movie again and reevaluate it, kind of thing. Like there's a certain level of a lack of humility when it comes to that, and it's like also like again, like people are going to criticize you, and like I said, you can take it or leave it. He could say nothing. He can move on and just make something else, but like he dwells on this so much. But all my point about this is like the way he's thinking about this is like there's a certain level of Uwe where he just has to be liked. He has to have approval. He needs to put something out and have everybody give him a round of applause. This was a great movie, kind of thing. Did you want to add to that, Andy?
No, yeah, that covers it. I mean, and I feel like that story is just so emblematic of, day one, I beat you up for criticizing my movie, and then the next day, man, so what is the problem that critics have with me and my movies? It's like, well, what if you skipped the first step of beating up and just actually approach criticism openly? I mean, because it seems like that is very much coming from the perspective of what is critics' beef with me as a person and not what feedback can I take about my work.
Yeah. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you until you love me.
I can't help but draw a comparison between this and something I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but there is the documentary Heckler that was about Jamie Kennedy and his career, and specifically like the way that he was really hurt and upset by poor reception to what is it, Malibu's Most Wanted and Son of the Mask, and like people just like began to hate on him personally and like how upset he was about a lot of this stuff. And I remember there was a scene. And again, this is at least filmed as a documentary. He's chilling out in a hot tub with the actor Deep Roy, who's been in a number of stuff. He was in the Tim Burton Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, for instance. And they're just chilling in the hot tub, and Jamie Kennedy is visibly pouting, and Deep Roy is clearly trying to like party and have a good time, and like trying to coax him out of his bad mood, and like, come on, let's go party, and stuff. And eventually, he gets frustrated with him. He's like, because why do you care? Like, why do you care what these? Because specifically, he's like, why do you care? I'm paraphrasing, but it's essentially like, why do you care if these, if what Big Fart 69 says about you and your movie on the internet? Like, why do you care about this so much? This shouldn't affect you. They're strangers to you. They don't know you, and they've already forgotten about the review they left of you on the internet. Why are you letting this ruin your day? And like, I don't know. I thought that was really sage advice at the time, and I feel like Uwe Boll could use somebody like that in his life too. Just like, why do you care so much? Whether it's some stranger on the internet leaving an anonymous review on IMDb or even a film critic, right? Like at the end of the day,
Yeah, there's a certain level of picking yourself up, dusting yourself off, and moving on. And as a video game connection to that, I will include a link in the description to Jamie Kennedy when he was the spokesperson for Activision during the 2007 E3, which is very entertaining.
yeah, that wasn't my intention in bringing this up, but go ahead.
Oh, that's
But
fun.
yeah, I also think a part of it is like, are you doing this for the accolades? Because if you're specifically doing this so that you will get thanks and praise, then you're setting yourself up for failure because it's never going to be enough, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking, do you think Jamie Kennedy actually had first approached Xbox to be their spokesperson so he could go out in the audience and say, "You've been X'd."
Oh, God. You know, I
Moving on, moving on.
Did you want to add to that? You sound like
No,
you're trying to
I
say
just
like, hey,
no,
he's
no.
done.
I've been rewatching the TV show Workaholics, and there was an oblique reference to the what is it, the Jamie Kennedy experiment? Was that what it was
Yeah.
called?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, I haven't thought about that in years, and that was like 3 days ago. Now you brought it up because prior to that, I don't know that I would have gotten I don't know that I would have gotten the
I
reference
forgot
otherwise.
about that. Oh my God. Jamie Kennedy's gonna come after us, but
No,
yeah,
he's
there's
fine. He's doing conventions, horror conventions. And by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt. Just so we're clear, I am not knocking anybody doing horror conventions. I love horror conventions. I go all the time. Jamie's fine. He's whenever there's like a big Scream contingent, he's going to the horror conventions. And good for him.
So yeah, Uwe clearly wants to be liked. That's the take I have from Uwe Boll and the way he responds to criticism. He wants to be liked. He wants people to tell him he's great, and he wants people to say that his movies are awesome the way they are. And he gets very offended when they say that they're not that, you know? He's got a very, very strong opinion of himself, and he really doesn't have a healthy coping mechanism. Again, this is me psychoanalyzing. He doesn't have a very healthy coping mechanism when people do not align with the way he thinks of himself. And going along with that, Postal stands out. This Postal movie stands out among his other video game attempts as a movie that is not universally hated and is even liked by some folks in the internet gamer crowd. As we covered last time, there were definitely some snarky or straight up negative IMDb reviews, but there are also plenty of contributors that express genuine fondness for the movie, even to this day. And during interviews, he bragged of many fans approaching him to autograph their DVD copies of Postal, although he would also complain that many people who watched the film pirated off the internet. So, there you go. He also liked talking about how important he felt the movie was. For example, when promoting Postal, Boll explained to Stephanie Serling of Destructoid back in 2007, quote, "We showed it on the weekend at the Fangoria convention in New York, and the people loved it. Half of that audience was not pro Boll. They were like people that trash my other movies, and they definitely looked into it in a different direction. What I mean is, they start watching the movie and they are not maybe supportive of the movie, and then after the movie they finish, it's like, holy shit, this is not a good movie. This is a great movie." And this is what it is. I think Postal is one of the best movies of the last 10 years. If it gets out there, you give it a shot and just see it if you would see it. But it's not a good movie. It's a fucking great movie. I think it's the most important movie after September 11th. No other movie summarizes the political self-censorship. Yeah,
Wait. September 11th wasn't a movie.
for September 11th, the movie.
Yeah, or I guess he means this is the greatest movie that has been made
Since
since
September
September
11th?
11th and
Okay.
commenting on the post 9/11 world.
You're being wildly generous, Andy.
Taken in the best possible light, I'd say. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's the most important movie after September 11th. No other movie summarizes the political self-censorship up like we did with Postal. End quote. And all that gives me the impression that he felt a genuine pride for this film. Critics in the establishment, they turned up their noses at his serious filmmaking attempts, such as Tunnel Rats, Heart of America, and Darfur. Even when he mailed the likes of George Clooney, Matt Damon, Brad Pitt, and Angelina Jolie copies of his movie in hopes they would promote it, and complained when they didn't. And gamers turned his video game movies into internet punchlines to the point that he literally started punching back. However, Postal was different. Based on Metacritic user reviews, it remains to this day one of his most positively reviewed films with a decent average of 6.6 out of 10, as well as a 35% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. And now, that doesn't sound good. That is one of the best
But that's
ratings
what I
of
was
an
kind of
horror movie.
asking about regarding why he kickstarted that movie. When I said successful, I didn't necessarily just mean box office successful. Was it like one of the more successfully received movies of his, popularity wise?
It seems to be the one where like the nerds that he is easy to dump and beat up because they're all like meanies on the internet who are trying to drum him out of the business. But at the same point, it's the one the meanies like. So yeah, he gets a 35% audience score, and he's just like, this is the greatest movie of all time. And like, not a stellar endorsement, but it's far and away the most well-received of his video game movies among fans. Like, this is leagues up there. It's Postal and then everything else in terms of its Metacritic, user reviews. And so were I to speculate, for Boll, Postal represented something that he'd been chasing since he started making movies. Genuine positive recognition for his work. All that is to say that this gives me the impression that Uwe Boll felt a genuine pride for his Postal move in. So yeah, he gets this recognition for Postal, and I think that's what is motivating him to want to go back and make a Postal sequel with this Kickstarter. And on August the 28th, 2013, Boll launched his own Kickstarter campaign, asking for people to help him finance a Postal sequel. Boll kept his goal very modest, asking for $500,000 across a 60-day campaign, which, I'm no expert in the movie making business. That doesn't sound like enough to make a movie, especially since the first Postal had around a $15 million budget.
First of all, I didn't realize that you could have a 60-day Kickstarter campaign. It seems like every one I've ever been aware of myself has been 30 days. But also, I wonder if he was doing what just some video game companies do when they do a Kickstarter, which is just, we want to raise X amount on Kickstarter to convince actual financial backers that, look, there are this many fans and they're representative of a larger number of fans who will eventually buy this work or pay for tickets or whatever. So yeah, he might have been treating this as just seed money to then attract other investors.
That is possible, and like again, we'll talk about this later on, but like Uwe has many faults, but like he's a fundraiser. He knows how to raise funds. Like he knows how to separate German dentists from their money. And I could see that being like, okay, see, using the Kickstarter as a way of generating buzz about it.
Some dentists maybe.
Some more German dentists. So let's go into this Kickstarter. This is gonna be fun. In a pitch that Boll clearly wrote himself, and no one reviewed or edited before he put out, he declared Postal 2 would be an important, edgy commentary on the current state of American politics and culture, told by the only person brave enough to tell it. Quote, Postal 2 would be a controversial comedy in which we take up current political issues. We take the biggest scandals of our democracy, Julian Assange and Edward Snowden. Remember, those names were relevant. Julian Assange and Edward Snowden that showed there is no difference between our democracy and the prison camps in Russia or China. We showed through this massive monitoring our communication data is not safe anymore! Exclamation point. We want to make a movie which is totally uncensored, pointed against everything and everybody, against every political party and every religion. There will be no survivors. Help us there are two twos in that, to make this campaign possible. This movie's important, and nobody besides Uwe Boll got the balls to make it, end quote.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess if you're fundraising basically based on, if your body of work is your resume and the thing you're using to convince people to donate, then sure, yeah, you should just very aggressively be yourself, I guess. So, if you think that, yeah, my brand is this popular.
Uwe offered all sorts of incentives for would-be backers. So, the way Kickstarter works is like, you have like your backer rewards. If you get a certain amount, you'll get a certain amount back. So yeah. I thought it'd be fun for the next few minutes. We're going to walk through what you would have coming if you were to help bring Uwe Boll's Postal 2 to life. So I'm going to walk through the tiers of this Kickstarter campaign, starting with the lowest. If you'd like, we can do a fun little game where we guess how many people actually back those levels. Sound good?
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. The bottom level, $5, is a subscription to a newsletter documenting the film's production leading up to its release. This is pretty standard. The Veronica Mars movie project did this too, where basically $5 gives you a membership of a newsletter where we update you on the movie.
It just basically
making.
lets you follow along with the project at home.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like what a lot of Kickstarters do.
Yeah, most do that.
So $5, how many people think back this part?
Now, can you give us a sense of how many people overall back the project? Because, I mean, if you tell us 100 people back the project total or 1 million, that's going to help us.
Overall, there were 378 backers for the Postal 2 project on Kickstarter.
Okay, so for the $5 tier, I'm guessing 200. What are that?
I'm gonna guess about 100.
47.
Hmm.
Whoa.
47 people back to $5 level.
Andy, you're the closest. If we're playing
Closest
by
I'm
Price is
going
Right
over.
rules. No, he won over. We both did, but he's
Okay.
closer.
So 10, yeah, you both went over, yeah.
You call
So
yourself Bob Barker.
I do, yeah. All right, next level. So the $10 level was a PDF copy of Postal 2's shooting script. Incidentally, this was the same tier reward for the Veronica Mars movie Kickstarter, that at $10 you got a shooting script. So how many people do you think backed for $10? And assuming just going forward, if you back for this amount, all the other benefits before
Right.
that, the lower tiers are there too.
But now
So
there's a question is like, so if like 10 people backed the $10 level, does that add to the number who backed the $5 level or no, right? Because that like,
no,
yeah, because
it's
like
the
old
people,
specifically backed
specific
certain levels.
dollar
Got it.
levels.
It's just you also get the other,
Yeah, the way Kickstarter keeps track of is specific dollar levels.
Right.
All right, so we got $10 for the PDF copy of the shooting script.
Now, how many people could possibly have been duped into thinking that he had a finished script when shooting would have begun anyway? Given what we've heard of so many of his other movies, that the actors were just told roughly what they had to get done in the scene. I don't know. I'm going to guess 25.
I'm gonna guess a little higher just because I feel like you're right, Andy. People are like, this guy doesn't write scripts. I want to make him do his homework. I'm gonna back this so that I can get this. I'm gonna say 40.
This was 31 backers.
Oh, yeah.
You remind me of a line, and I had to go back to my old Uwe Boll script for the first episode. Darren Kings of Vanity Fair went to a set of Uwe Boll for an article he wrote in 2017. And this is what he described the scene in terms of writing and script doctoring on Uwe's set. Quote, on Boll's set, a harried script supervisor searched the 20-page treatment, which is more like a hodgepodge of miscellaneous dialogue ideas in no discernible order, with no page or scene numbers or character designations. It was largely ignored in any case, end quote.
Oof.
Yeah, like you can get a shooting script, but they could also just go ahead and throw that in the garbage when they're actually making the movie.
Yeah. So most of what it sounds like, people just kind of improvise the scene.
God, this is total speculation on my part, but can you imagine Uwe Boll using ChatGPT for scripts? Like nowadays,
He's
the
making
script
movies
treatment, leave us
now.
alone.
It's not outside the realm of possibilities using ChatGPT for scripts now. It's funny because like there's a story that Marianne Hamill tells. She was the writer for American Psycho, a very accomplished screenwriter, and she was a
Mary
director.
Harron?
Mary Harron, yes, Mary Harron. Sorry, Mary Harron was a director, I think, for American Psycho.
She ultimately was, yeah.
She wrote Blood Rain. She wrote the script for Blood Rain. She sent a script treatment for Boll, and she's told in interviews is like, generally what happens is your first draft of your script is kind of a starting salvo, and you work back and forth to figure out a thing. And apparently Boll said, "Yeah, I'll take that. I'm gone." And she got paid, so she's okay with that, but she said about 25% of her script made it into the final project.
And did she receive credit?
Yes, I believe so, yes.
Hey there, fellow netizens. This is Kevin in the editor's chair again with another correction, and I somehow messed up this name not once but twice. So it was not Mary Harron. Blood Rain's writer was not Mary Harron, who was the director of American Psycho. It was Guinevere Turner, who was the writer for American Psycho. And I'm going to let Guinevere Turner explain the experience of working as a writer for Uwe Boll. This is a clip taken from the 2009 documentary Tales from the Script, in which she explained her experience writing Blood Rain for Uwe Boll. Here we go.
Scripts are late. Writers are 2 years late. I was 2 weeks late. Uwe Boll calls me, "This is fucking disgusting. You lied to me. Where is my script?" I was like, whoa. I just called my manager and I was like, that man is never allowed to call me again. And he never did. But I delivered the script probably a week after that. And he's like, "We love it. We go into production tomorrow." I was like, oh my God, like, it was a first draft. It was a, nasty little, scrappy little draft of a script that I was like, hoping that, the process begins. You say what you think, we blah, 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 it becomes something beautiful. No, into production. And I just want to say for the record, for anyone who's seen Blood Rain, that I would say that about 20% of what I wrote is on the screen. The producer called me when the movie was just being finished and he said, "Don't be alarmed, Gwen. Uwe changed a lot of the script." Uwe doesn't really speak English. And then he let the actors take a crack at it. I was just like, letting go. I'm gonna let go. And I have to say that the only person at the premiere at Man's Chinese Theater who was laughing out loud was me. I was laughing out loud like, oh my God. It's like a $25 million movie and it blows. I mean, it's like the worst movie ever made. It's like, is it Showgirls worthy in terms of like how it's so bad that it's campy? I think it is. I think it's going to ripen.
So that's a little bit of the experience of a writer working directly with Uwe Boll. So a little bit of more insight into his process when it involves working with scripts. Anyway, apologies for the initial error. I will put a link to the documentary and back to the show.
Uwe operates differently than most directors in that he doesn't use scripts. So I'm curious what a PDF copy of Postal 2's shooting script would look like. Anyway, there's a second $10 tier on Uwe Boll's Postal 2. For $10, you get a postcard autographed by Uwe Boll himself. I assume this got you the shooting script, but it doesn't specify. So how many do you think backed this one?
And do you get like a little lip prints, little kiss on the
Sealed
on
with a kiss.
Yeah. Do you get that too?
Ooh, I'm gonna guess fewer people would have been interested in this than in the shooting script.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So I don't know. I'll guess 20.
I'll guess just to go a bit lower than that. I think you're on the mark, Andy, but I'm on 15.
Close.
5.
Five people.
So 5 of these postcards exist now.
That leads me to believe that Uwe expected that people would pay $10 for that level and $10 for the shooting script. He doesn't specify, but I suspect that's what happened.
I'm reminded of and Kevin, if I get this wrong, we're gonna need to fix the movie and I'm thinking of in post, but I'm pretty sure it's in Spiral, the movie Spiral, where this head detective or chief of police or somebody, he's like they're hunting a killer and he's like, whoever catches this guy, I will personally take you out to a steak dinner at whatever restaurant. It's like, you really think that going out to dinner with you is a prize to be won? Okay. Like Uwe Boll, you really think a postcard that you put your hands on the pen to write to, that's something everybody wants. Okay.
Hold on to that. As we get to the higher tiers, you're going to see stuff like that.
Or are we going to have a steak dinner with Uwe Boll?
Again, hold on.
Okay.
All right, so next level, $25. A digital copy of the film in either English or German.
Huh. So that makes me wonder, does he mean like he'd shoot it in English, but they were also going to make a German dub? Or was he planning to have to shoot each scene once an English language version and once a German version, that he's going to make all the English speaking actors.
I will make an effort to make everybody learn German.
Yeah, phonetically just read out these German
or
lines.
Just phonetically do this, yeah.
Sprechensche Postal.
Yeah, how much was this tier again? 20?
$25.
25? I'm going to guess 50 people.
I'm gonna guess 60 people. I've also lost count of the ones you've already revealed, so we could be both going way over. But yeah, let's say 60.
By far, this tier is the most popular tier among investors. 147 backers.
Well, I guess that makes sense because, like, to be fair, that's all you want when you're backing a movie project on Kickstarter. All you want is a digital copy of the movie you're backing, right? Like, you don't care about all the other bells and whistles, really.
Yeah. When it comes down to it, this is the one that was the most likely to give you the movie.
It's like if you back I don't know, a book that's going to get published, right, on Kickstarter. It's like the cheapest way to get what you are backing is to get like the PDF copy. You can go above and beyond, and you might be able to get a bound copy and maybe even a bound signed copy or something. But at the end of the day, you just need a copy of the book, and the cheapest way to do that is the PDF. And
at the time, like $25 was about the going rate for a DVD. So like, a digital copy for $25 was not out of the ordinary. So yeah, 147 people wanted this. And knowing Uwe, in terms of the German translation, it could be that he made his actors try to figure out. It probably is equally likely that he dubbed over them himself.
I mean, my guess is he got some German voice actors to dub it over.
Probably paid scale too.
Or some German dentists.
Yeah, those dentists,
perhaps.
hey.
All right, yeah. Next level is $40. This was a digital copy of the soundtrack in addition to all the other stuff you get. So a digital copy of the soundtrack in addition to a digital copy of the movie.
The original soundtrack by Nine Inch Nails, right?
Oh, I wish.
I'll say 30 people for this.
28.
6.
Okay.
Whoa.
6 people.
I should have been keeping a little spreadsheet here because I have no idea who's left, you know?
6 people wanted a soundtrack of this movie.
Now, tell me about the soundtrack. Who wrote it? Are there songs?
I don't know. Who knows?
So it's nobody. It's nobody
Nobody
that we
knows.
know of. It's not notorietous. It's not like the guy who works with Uwe Boll on all of his movies, or this particular famous band or musician or whatever.
Let's put it this way. He didn't specify in his Kickstarter pitch who was on the soundtrack.
Just sure, I have this other output. You can have that too.
That would have been so funny though if he were selling soundtracks of just like licensed movie music from a sound library.
Jurassic Park theme. Theme from Jurassic Park.
The
Theme from The
Postal-
Shining.
The Postal soundtrack. Da, 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 da.
You know, I just recently rewatched Sleeping with the Enemy, and it really threw me how they just 100% used the main theme from The Shining
Oh
repeatedly in
man,
that
I didn't
movie.
know that.
Yeah. It's just like, wait a minute, wait a minute.
All right, so $50, $50 right now. An exclusive Postal 2 t-shirt. There are no details on the design. However, in later updates on the Kickstarter, Boll shared a film logo and promised that they would make a shirt depicting, of course, he said they would make a shirt depicting a cat's butt being used as a silencer. So for $50, you could have gotten this Postal 2 maybe cat used as a silencer themed shirt for $50.
But reality wise, it was a postal shirt, but there was no design shared as confirmed as this is the design of the shirt you're getting.
There was a logo he shared in the Kickstarter updates. It was probably the best approximation about what the shirt might have been.
But there's not like a here's the shirt you're gonna get.
No, absolutely not. He did not do that.
Okay, see, that's important for me. If I'm gonna do a Kickstarter where I'm gonna kick in extra money and I'll get a shirt, it's like I'd love to know what that shirt's gonna look like. I'm gonna say 8.
Ooh, yeah, I'll say 4.
A respectable 35 backers
Wow!
for the t-shirt.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, so
I don't
also
understand Uwe Boll's community, apparently.
Also $50 because Uwe has different tiers that are the same price, and I assume those different tiers give you different things, so you'd have to pay twice to Uwe Boll.
I've seen Kickstarters that were like that, like
Yeah.
you know, like, hey, I'm making a new album, and at this tier, there are 3 different versions of this tier you can get. You know, I'm selling one of my other albums you can
Yeah,
tackle
like,
on or
do
something.
you want the T-shirt? Do you want the film soundtrack?
Yeah.
That sort of, yeah.
So this one for $50 is a DVD of the documentary Raging Bull, which you talked about, which is basically like Uwe didn't direct this documentary, one of his film crew did, but it's basically, again, this is Uwe Boll's film version of why he needed to beat the shit out of guys like Lotax.
It's a love letter to Uwe Boll.
Yes, it's a love letter to Uwe Boll.
Speaking of the producers.
Dude, there's a scene in this movie where it's not Chris Alexander, but one of the other people he beat up. He cuts between this guy with EMTs, and he's got an oxygen mask, and they're checking on this guy. And Uwe Boll, with boxing gloves on in his suit, walking through the arena and signing autographs. Which again, the people who were in the arena were people who worked on the Postal movie. They're his employees, and he's signing autographs in between this guy like gasping for air. Like, this is a movie about a bully explaining why he needed to beat up nerds. So yeah, the $50 tier, a DVD copy of this documentary, this movie, which, as a side, I own a copy of, by the way.
A signed copy?
I do not. Although this, if you spend $50 on the tier, you could get it signed by Uwe Boll. How many people do you think paid $50 to Uwe Boll to get this signed documentary?
Wait, for $100, can you get it signed in the blood of one of those nerds whose asses he kicked?
No, they're all long dead now, unfortunately.
This could be a dark joke. That is only true of Lotax.
Oh. Ooh, man, it's hard because on the one hand, like, I feel like a lot of if you're going to be contributing to his Kickstarter, you like that side of him, but also I feel like we're getting close to the 300-ish total number you gave. I'll guess like 30.
What do you think, get?
I'm gonna say again. I'm gonna keep it under 10. I'm gonna say 8 again. 0. Okay.
Nobody
Well,
did
sometimes
this. Nobody backed this level.
nobody wanted that documentary.
Nobody wanted this movie.
Nobody wanted that puff piece about himself, about how great he is.
Clearly, I'm the idiot because I own a copy of that movie.
I presume you didn't pay $50 for it though.
I paid about $10 for it. Yeah. Oh.
Too much.
So $75 is our next tier. $75 gives you a DVD copy of the movie, as well as the other stuff.
Oh,
The
physical
t-shirt.
media.
So this is basically for $75, you get a DVD copy that's available in English and German, in addition to all the other stuff we talked about, the t-shirt and the newsletter and all that stuff.
So it's a physical DVD copy of
Yeah, there's a physical copy of this movie.
and it is $75, and you get
$75.
and with that you also get the digital copy and the T-shirt and hugs and kisses from Uwe Boll via postcard and whatever else. Okay.
It's not at this level.
Well, okay, you get hugs
I'm
and
gonna
kisses
guess
later.
$20 or 20 backers.
I'm gonna guess this one was pretty high. I'm gonna guess this was 50.
15.
15, 1 5.
15
Okay, wow.
people.
All right. Way to go, Andy.
So next year, $100, a Blu-ray copy of Postal 2, in addition to a DVD copy. Now, Blu-rays were pretty pricey at the time they launched this Kickstarter, so that's a I don't know if that's not a bargain, but like you get a lot of stuff for $100. So what do we think? How many people back this level?
I'm gonna guess 5.
Yeah, I mean, if 15 people went at the DVD level, I think fewer people at this time generally had Blu-ray players at home as their primary option or reviewed it as I'm gonna guess 9.
Andy, you got it right the last round of this. 22 people back this one.
Oh,
Mm.
nice.
All right, let's go up to here. $150. An autographed shirt signed by Boll and members of the cast. He mentions Jackie Ton by name. Jackie Ton was the love interest in the first Postal movie.
Don't know who that is.
Plus all the other stuff we talked about, the Blu-ray, the script, and all that. So an autographed shirt signed by Boll and members of his cast for $150.
4.
3.
22.
Wow.
Wow, back this one.
Some people just have too much disposable income.
All right, now we get into the interesting ones. There are a lot of tiers, by the way.
Yeah, how far along are we? This is a long game.
We're about midway through the tiers.
Oh my God.
Okay, $200 we're up to. $200. An invitation to an exclusive backers thank you screening in Los Angeles, plus all the other additional rewards. However, I will caution you, backers need to provide their own transportation and lodging. You need to get your own way to Los Angeles to go to this screening.
Is it a screening or is it a party?
It's a thank you screening.
Okay. And where is it at?
It's in LA.
Where in LA? I'm trying to figure out capacity.
They don't say where in LA, but you have to provide your own lodging and your own room and board. Transportation too. You have to get your own way there.
Was there a limit to the number?
Hold on, I can tell you.
Like limit 50 or something?
I do not know the limit on this one.
See that? Yeah. I mean, you don't need to provide us that. That would help me because I'm assuming if it's a screening, I'm assuming that there's a limited number of spots.
I do not believe there was a limit on this one.
Or maybe he just didn't tell us.
I've got the Kickstarter page in front of me. I don't think there was a limit on this.
What's the price tier again?
$200.
20 people.
I'm gonna guess 13 people. One lucky backer.
A
One
single
Have a
backer.
private
Lucky
screening.
son of a bitch. Okay.
As George Costanza would say, this is not a gift, it's a bill.
I
You have to
imagine that person was a local.
You have to get your own ride to LA.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, I live here.
If you live in LA and you're close to wherever he decided he was screening this
I
movie.
live here. I have a Camry. I can go where I need to go.
Okay, so $250. So the thank you screening, instead of one ticket, now you got 2 tickets. So 2 tickets for the thank you screening.
0.
Yeah, it's got to be 0. Although it would be funny if there were more
10.
people who were like, actually, no, there's only one single person who wants to come, but he's got like 300 couples who want to make a date night out of this. But yeah, I'm going to guess 0.
3 people back this.
3 couples. So you really need 6.
So it is a better deal than the $200 level because you were saving money overall on the pace. So 3, which means 6 people could have done this.
So maybe they're friends. Maybe they're not all like romantic couples. It's like me and my buddy. We're gonna go hang out. Yeah, yeah. I'm reminded of Kevin. I'm reminded of this year for Kevin's birthday. I booked us an hour of private karaoke at a spot near us. And when I was going through the reservation, like you reserve the time and the room and all that, you go through all the add-ons you can have. And I was like, no, thank you to this, no, thank you to that. And one thing said, would you like to add delivery of a large pepperoni pizza for your room for the spot for the hour? And I was like, clicked, no, thank you. Next screen and says, would you like to add the delivery of a large cheese pizza to your room? was like, no,
The question was the type of pizza.
it wasn't the pepperoni I was objecting to. I just don't need a pizza. It's like, the number of people going to the screening is not what I was having a problem with. I just don't want to go.
So yeah, that's the $250. The $300 level, you get a special thanks acknowledgement in the credits. I assume the lower tiers are in this too, but it doesn't say. So $300, you get a special thanks in the credits.
Ooh, see, that's good for some notoriety. And again, I've entirely lost track of how many people we've actually said. So anybody who's, writing this down at home and is like, you idiot, there can't possibly be 20 people left. I'm going to guess 20 people.
I was gonna guess. I feel like actually that's what I was thinking too. Yeah, let's say 20. Let's see.
One single backer.
Was it the same guy who also went by himself to the screening? Just under an alias? He's just very much invested emotionally as well as financially in this happening.
All right. Speaking of that, we get into higher levels. $500. We're getting a $500 level. A 1-day set visit to the Postal 2 filming in Vancouver, and this will appeal to you, Eddie, the chance to be an extra in the film. However, you have to pay your own way to get to Canada, and the travel and lodging are not included.
So here's the thing. Usually extras get paid to be in the movie, as opposed to paying for the chance to be an extra.
Maybe be in the movie, apparently.
Yeah. I'll guess one again for this.
I'm gonna say, I hope no one.
I've worked in nonprofits. I know what it's like to be paid at exposure. All right, so 1-day visit the Postal 2 filming, 5 backers.
Wow.
Wow.
5 people did this. Now again, skipping ahead, they did not get to do this. They paid for this. All right, next level, $1,000. 2 tickets to the premiere in Los Angeles and access to the after party for $1,000.
4.
5.
2. I'll run through some of these because we're going to get to low numbers for these. So yeah, 2 backers for $1,000. Second $1,000 tier. Access to an all-day filmmaking class hosted by Uwe Boll himself.
Oh my God. 0.
0.
Which he described as, quote, you will attend my special limited master filmmaker class, which will be an all-day seminar.
0.
Every word in that
0.
sentence was
I don't care if he's a
capitalized.
genius. I'm not going to an all-day seminar. Not on my free time. No.
You're correct. Nobody signed up for this.
Yeah.
0. All right. Also $1,000. We have 3 $1,000 tiers. All right. Third one. An outfit worn by an actor from Postal.
You just get
That
to
is all
have
it
it.
says.
You just get to have it.
Not necessarily worn in the filming of Postal. Just
It's just one of their outfits.
an outfit that somebody wore once in their lives.
Like who they were also in the Postal.
I put in my notes a joke, Andy, of, is Uwe just mailing me a shirt from his closet?
Oh yeah, because he would definitely put himself in the movie, even though he died in the first Postal movie.
I'm reminded of those like mystery boxes that people will buy in various places. You know what I'm talking about. Like you get a mystery box from, and it's just like I see unboxings of them on YouTube and stuff. And
like subscription boxes of
Yeah.
each month
It's
you'll
like-
get some random geeky toy or something.
yeah, but it's also like it's from an individual, so it's not like from a business, and so it's like I'll send you a bunch of stuff, like I'll send you some random interesting stuff, and you tell me what you like, and often enough these boxes just amount to like you are sending me a bunch of crap that you don't want in your house, like you're sending me like an old charger that doesn't go to anything, or like a ruler with a crack in it from 1985 or what. And it was like, but it's vintage. It's like, no, this is you're sending me your garbage. Thank you. You're sending
Wasn't
me
that a
garbage.
joke? Here, you throw this away.
Yeah. You might get 1 or 2 cool things in there, but the rest of it is just like you just didn't want this in your house.
So how many people do you think wanted to get an outfit worn by an actor from
I
Postal
hope
Museum?
none.
Oh my God, I'm gonna guess 2.
Nobody did this.
Yeah.
No one
All right,
did
thank
this.
God.
Thankfully, I felt like that was an avenue to Perv City I didn't want to go down.
All right, we continue to get in the high roller category. $2,000 now. $2,000 tier. The chance to work with Boll and his editor and observe the editing process for 1 day. As Boll describes it, quote, join Uwe Boll in a memorable experience. I am inviting you to spend a full workday with me and the editor to observe the editing process of one of my films. This day includes lunch.
Ooh, lunch.
Also qualifying that this requires you to sign an NDA and that quantity is limited.
So,
I mean, lunch.
Man, so here's the thing. I feel like the editing process is both less informative but also less boring when you only shoot 1 take of each scene.
See how easy it is?
All those losers who do multiple takes.
Oh man. 0.
Nobody did this. I'll just skip ahead. Nobody fucking signed up for this.
Yeah. This is also sounding like this is Uwe attempting to like make friends with people via his Kickstarter. Who wants to hang out with me in the editing bay? Who wants to do my seminar?
Who wants to come over? My mom has a pool. We can swim in it together.
Hey, who wants my old t-shirt? You'd look great in it.
I heard even labor director has an even bigger pool.
Is like the $3,000 tier we're gonna go over to Steven Spielberg's house and moon him or something?
All right, a second $2,000 tier, an exclusive Uwe Boll video game prize package, which apparently includes a PS4 or an Xbox One signed by Uwe Boll and the Postal 2 cast.
Uh,
I'm gonna say 0. Because I also think he's gonna have to run out and buy those if anybody backs this, and he doesn't want to do that.
Uwe at Best Buy.
yeah, I'm feeling like it. My guess is it's most likely, some video games, that he's adapted already, and I'm thinking his fans would already have those games. But on the other hand, gaming system signed by your hero, Uwe Boll. I'm gonna guess 1.
Nobody signed up for this. No one did this.
Like, I could just buy an Xbox One.
This is 0 backers. All right, we go up to $2,500.
Jesus Christ.
There's a lot of tiers.
How close are we?
We're 2/3 of the way through. $25. A lunch date with a cast member of your choice that will take place in either Vancouver or Los Angeles. Transportation and lodging are not included.
3.
0.
Nobody did this.
Yeah.
0. This is 0.
Is the gag that all these higher tier ones just all going to be 0, 0, 0?
They're not all 0. I will say, most of them are 0. Not all of them are. All right, so next one. $5,000. This was one of my favorites. The chance to name a character in the movie. I will say this about Boll has some stipulations about this. He says, quote, the name has to be in line with legal regulations and mustn't violate personal rights.
Ooh, oh, geez. I'm gonna guess 2 unfortunate souls.
4.
Nobody did this.
Oh, come on. What an opportunity for Bodie McBoatface.
Yeah, actor McActface.
Bodie McBoatface.
Yeah, nobody did that. Another $5,000 tier. Dinner in a movie with Uwe Boll.
Oh boy.
I hope no one.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess 0.
The package involves screening a film of your choice at Uwe's house in Vancouver.
Oh, God. No. 0. This is the murder package.
If you were like a real jerk, though, what you would do is you'd bring a good movie, and you'd be like, now here's why this scene works. Take notes. 1, they had a script. Okay. That's got to be the same for every other scene that we talk about for this movie.
This Orson Welles is bullshit. This Citizen Kane is all this bullshit dirt for Citizen Kane. Yeah. So how many people we think wanted to do dinner in a movie with Uwe?
No one.
0.
Alas, no one wanted to do this. I think Uwe just wanted a friend. All right, so $5,000 was a dinner and a movie at Uwe Boll. No one signed up for that. $7,500. A speaking role in Postal 2 with the size of the role determined by your personal acting skills.
Oh, God. What does that mean? That sounds gross.
Well, I don't know. I would say, I mean, like if I were doing a Kickstarter, I might put in some kind of clause like that. Like, yeah, we'll give you a couple of different lines, and basically the length of your line and the prominence that you'll be in the shot will depend on how much you sound like a robot.
I feel like the safer bet is to just have like a one-line throwaway role. That like the speaking role, like give away 2 of these in the tier if you have them, and they're like the very throwaway lines that someone might have, like "Excuse me" or "Right this way, sir" or something like that, where it's like it really doesn't matter if you can't act because you're not going to be on screen for long.
I gotta imagine there's no way this is a SAG set. There's no way this is a SAG set.
No, but if they got this, then they would, I guess, technically become SAG eligible. Because isn't that the thing? Is you become SAG eligible if you have a named speaking role in a movie?
It might depend on if it's a SAG compliant production or not.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna guess 1 person signed up for this.
I'm gonna say nobody.
Nobody signed up for this.
I'm reminded of the stories that I heard about the casting for the Human Centipede and the casting room for the actresses who were all coming in to read for the two women in the first movie. And it was really shielded like what the movie was about and how many people were leaving the casting room before even going in to read once they determined what the movie was about. Because they're like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't care if I get a role. I don't care if it's a lead role. I don't care if it's like, this is going to ruin my career if I do this. I'm not doing this.
I'm reminded of what we saw about Shane Dawson when Shane Dawson attempted to make his movie a couple of years ago and the kind of degrading roles he had in it is like people are not going to want to have that on their reel,
Well,
you
more
know?
specifically, there was the role that he had for that was a supposedly comedic role for a very, very, it was a bit role for an unhoused person who was going to appear on screen fully nude and eating poop off the ground. In
Yeah.
addition to the eating poop off the ground, which is very degrading, in general, not many actors are just willing to go like, yep, I'll do full frontal nudity, which was what they wanted as well in that scene. So like, yeah, there's like not a lot of people who are willing to do that sort of thing, especially for a production like Shane Dawson's film or, these sorts of films. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So nobody signed up for this. All right, we're getting to the high rollers now. 10 grand, $10,000. An executive producer credit and permanent access to the Vancouver set. However, transportation and lodging are not included for
I mean,
$10,000.
this is basically him asking for investors at that tier.
One.
What do we
Nobody,
think?
nobody.
Nobody did this. Not
Yeah.
a single person.
If I'm
did
gonna put $10,000 up for this movie, I want options.
Not a goddamn soul did this. All right. There are actually five $10,000 levels. Five of them. That was the first one. Second one. A part with five guaranteed lines. Not one, five guaranteed lines. But not only that, you get an associate producer credit, quote, and you go with Boll and the whole cast for a big dinner, end quote.
Wow, so this is 5 lines regardless of your personal acting ability.
And a big dinner.
Oh boy. I gotta guess 0.
I think 0 as well.
This one's the most shocking. One person backed this.
Wow.
Mm.
One person was guaranteed five lines and a big dinner with Uwe Boll
Wow.
and an associate producer credit. That's in there
Mhm.
too. All right, another $10,000 level. This is a fun one. $10,000, the chance to write and direct a scene in Postal 2, with Boll promising it would appear on the DVD extras, if not in the theatrical cut. So you could just write and direct a scene in this movie for $10,000.
Nobody.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess 0, and also like it would have been just totally antithetical to Uwe Boll's filmmaking styles to have a pre-written scene while you're filming. The
Well,
very
also
idea.
only he can make the movie, so like I wouldn't want to go toe to toe with this guy.
You upstaged me. We saw what he can do when he's upset, you know? All right, so yeah. So how many people think back this? The chance to write and direct a scene in Postal 2?
0.
0.
Not a goddamn person did this.
Yeah.
Nobody did this. All right. The last two are $10,000 tiers. $10,000. The chance to work for Boll as his assistant. Quote,
Oh God.
promising quote, you'll learn filmmaking from the best. End quote.
0.
0.
Now, before you say 0,
Which I already did, but go
I
ahead.
will tell you, hotel and food are provided at this tier.
But not transportation. You got yourself there.
Oh yeah, he's still gonna provide you a ride.
Yeah, no, 0.
Yeah, nobody did this. Not a single person did this. All right. The last tier, $10,000. Now, this one had a limit. I believe the other ones did not. This had a limit of 20 people, 20 backers you could have at this level. All right, here's the $10,000 level. This is the highest tier. This is the top shelf stuff. Uwe Boll will fly to your hometown so long as it's in the US, Canada, or Germany, rent a theater, and host a screening of an Uwe Boll movie of your choice, followed by, quote, an intimate Q&A afterwards for you and 50 of your friends, end quote.
I can see one person taking him up on this.
You said this is for $100,000?
This is for $10,000.
$10,000.
The bargain at 10,000. And in fact,
Yeah, that. Yeah.
in the tier, Boll encouraged people to get their friends together to pool their resources, writing that you and your 49 friends could each pitch in $200.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're looking at it both as like his speaking fee and the room rental or like the space rental, because he's covering that. I mean, it's not something I'd be interested in, but I feel like it's not actually that far off from if you were putting on such an event, like the speaker's fee and the venue would be really close to that anyway, if not more.
So how many people do we think back this one?
I think one.
I hear what you're saying, but I still think 0.
Yeah, nobody did this.
Okay.
I mean, that would be a shameful way to spend your money. I feel like that also would have made local news. I feel like I would have heard about that.
So we've gone through all the tiers here. So as the Kickstarter went on, Uwe pounded the pavement, appearing on podcasts and singing for interviews in hope of gaining more support. However, as the campaign drew on, the prospects of earning $500,000 for Postal 2 grew increasingly dire. Late into the campaign, a frustrated Gary Otto, a longtime collaborator with Boll who was an associate producer on several of his movies, rushed to the Kickstarter comments in a desperate attempt to rally the troops, posting some of what you could liberally be described as facts about the adversity Uwe faced to bring the original Postal film to theaters. And all of this is why I gave history about the original Postal. This is from Gary Otto in the comments of the Kickstarter quote. Just so everyone understands, the reason why this Kickstarter exists is because no one producer would back the film financially. It's too hot of a concept. When Postal 1 came out, did you know that we were supposed to premiere on over 2,000 screens? As an aside, for what we covered, I don't think that's true. I think he's conflating with the alleged 2,000 screens that Boll supposedly was getting for Blood Rain, which, as we covered, was also not true. Back to Gary Otto. Do you know we're supposed to get over 2,000 screens? Because of politics. Politics is in all caps. Because of politics and the offensive nature of the film, many of the theatrical distributors dropped out at the last minute with BS excuses. I won't go into details. As another aside, probably because there are none, and check out our previous episode as to why. Back to Gary Otto. I won't go into details, but we were scrambling to get the film playing at all. Me along with Event Film. There were even ads on IMDb for a movie that was playing in another 12 theaters. 2 exclamation points. It was shocking in that regard. Money being pissed away. There's a lot of heart that goes into these films, regardless of their controversial intent. There is thought behind these films. I think the double standard is BS. End quote. Otto concluded with a desperate plea to allow Uwe to keep making video game movies. Quote, Boll is still independent. This film is going to be insane. Trust me on this. Truly gonzo. Those 2 words are in all caps. Please, folks, for the sake of independent cinema, please go out there and get people to donate, because at this rate, we're a little behind. All jokes aside, this could be a film that sits on the shelf never to be made, like Blood Rain 4. Don't let that happen, end quote. Oh, please no. Don't deprive us of more Blood Rain, I beg you.
Won't someone please think of the Uwe Boll film fans?
I want to see Uwe Boll's remake of Tokyo Gore Police.
No, was it the Gene Wilder from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate? No, please stop. Don't do that. Don't not make Blood Rain movies. However, it was all for naught. And on September the 30th, 2013, Uwe announced the dream was over, posting to the campaign an update season with more than a little bitterness. Quote, Dear friends and supporters, only a miracle can help to make Postal 2. All of you who donated, thank you. But it looks like the thousands of emails I got over the years from people they loved Postal made me feel that not only me loved that film, so we didn't reach with the campaign enough people. All this is, again, exactly as is written. So we didn't reach with the campaign enough people? I don't think so. I think we reached enough people. Got more press as 90% of the other campaigns and offered good donation prices. So you all will get your money back in 26 days when the campaign is over. Postal 2 will not happen. Best, Uwe.
Wait, so he made that announcement 34 days into the 60-day campaign?
There were 26 days left. He does this. Listen, I didn't tell Uwe Boll to make a 60-day campaign.
No.
So that was put out on September the 30th, 2013. Uwe officially canceled the campaign 5 days later on October the 5th. 22 days and about 470 grand short of his total. Anybody want to guess how much he earned on his Kickstarter, knowing that?
How much was the total again? I'm sorry?
The goal was $500,000.
He got quite a few backers.
He got 378 backers.
Yeah, but at varying levels. Andy, what do you think?
It was in the high 20,000s.
Pretty close. He earned $29,977 from 378 backers. He ended this nowhere close to his goal. And so we'll wrap up there for now about the question of, was the dream really over? Skipping ahead, no, it wasn't. And we're going to go into how Uwe tried, despite this, to still make a Postal 2 movie. Any thoughts about where we've gone so far, though?
It has not revealed any new information about me since the last time. He's just an easily butthurt guy, and he put up a Kickstarter with a lot of redonkulous tears. And he got a fair amount of engagement online regarding it, and some people put up a fair amount of money here and there, but nowhere near enough for it to be taken seriously as a project.
To me, I feel like this situation would lead a more introspective person to consider, like, well, wait, if the only reason I could fundraise enough money to make my movies was because of a German tax loophole that has now been closed, maybe I'm not as popular or as good of a filmmaker as I thought I was. But I think that is not the lesson that Uwe Boll will take from all this.
It's the meme with Principal Skinner. Is that am I so out of touch that I don't understand what movies? No, it's all the movie watchers and critics who are wrong.
Yeah. The documentary wasn't called Calmly Reflecting Bowl,
I recommend that listeners check out Raging Bull. It is entertaining, and it's a very fascinating window into Uwe Boll's psyche, which we may do at some point as a commentary track down the line. But anyway, so next time, again, we'll answer this question. Was the dream really over? No, it wasn't, because Uwe made at least one other effort to try to make his Postal 2 movie happen. But that is something we'll cover next time. And so that will do it for today's episode of Scandalous Games. If you like what we're doing and want to help the show, subscribe or follow us wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a rating. If you want to learn more, check out our website, scandalousgamespodcast.wordpress.com, where I publish the show notes and the sources for every episode. Our theme music is Occam's Secret by Seek Knowledge via the Free Music Archive, used under a CC BY NC SA 3.0 US license. If you have a question, comment, or idea for a topic for a future episode, email us at scandalousgamespodcast@gmail.com. And until next time, I'm Kevin Impellizeri.
I'm Andy Hunter.
Kate, and I will not be contributing to your Kickstarter.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next Scandal. Subscribe to Fat Roll Gaming on YouTube and listen to So We Were Talking About Beast Wars wherever you get your podcasts.